Hey, good morning. I like books that not only teach, but also have a lot of practical application. Highly recommend this book, Living the Kabbalistic Tarot by Amber Jayanti. And its subtitle is Applying an Ancient Oracle to the Challenges of Modern Life. And I was sitting here taking a look at her diagram. Where did that go? Sorry. Of the tree of life. I just had this up. But what I like about this book, as I've worked my way through most of it, is practical application of how to take the tree of life, which the Kabbalah is based on, and apply these steps, these paths, these individual roads that appear in all of our lives, and walk the right path, find the right path, know how to walk that path, be in spaces and places that resonate with your energy and your heart and your DNA and your natal chart and what calls to you and what you know to be yours. Navigating life and ending up there isn't easy on earth. So I like to study things that help me out with maneuvering my energy and I would say calling, or what I feel inspired to do while I'm on earth. So, having said all that, I found it interesting that in the middle of the tree we see beauty, tiphareth. And underneath beauty is the temperance card, or the path of temperance. And underneath that is Yesod, which is the very foundation. Earth itself, the root, leading us to the world and into the kingdom of Malkuth, which is where we are. And the goal is to, of course, ascend and come to Bana and Shakma and work our way up to the crown. Kether, divine truth, all truth, universal truth, all that is outside of us coming down and bringing some type of, I would say, first of all, clarity, and then, of course, peace comes from clarity, and then comes the ability to move out and be in the spaces and places that you're supposed to be. So, having said that, seeing temperance leads us up to beauty and not the other way around. That there's an ask here of taking our earth to then ground it in a way that can show inner beauty. We see beauty inside of everything here. Beauty isn't on one of the outer pillars or on the top, even the bottom here. Beauty is tucked all in the middle. In temperance path and the devil path come off of beauty, along with an ask of death and transformation. And we do that by really working our way through severity, Gabora, and justice, with mercy, Shazad, through the hermit, and spending that time alone. See how these paths all lead to beauty. And with that being said, I'm looking for a quote here in a minute, but I wanted to come back to this and show this. With that being said, I think that there is an ask if we are to really have our inner beauty come out in the highest form, which beauty also ties to the high priestess, who sits between two pillars. Yes, sits between understanding and bana. And she is crossed by the Empress, who knows in her Venetian maiden form, this is Venus, how to express her fertility and energy in a way that comes from that which is above to that which is below. Remember, it isn't that which is within to that which is above. No, it's that which is above to that which is below, to that which is within, to that which is without, to that which is my soul, to that which is the universe. I think that as I work through my Black Moon Lilith series that I'm doing and researching, speaking with people on her in the first house in particular, is what I'm researching. I see how that beauty is very difficult to understand this lifetime when Black Moon Lilith walks with you in the Ascendant House. First angled house, the portal, basically your body. She becomes a main theme you carry around with you. And I have found that it is very difficult to have her in the first house. And so there's something to be said about temperance here. And I also found it interesting that that's the card she puts on her cover. So let me see if I can find this quote I wanted to say again. And I'm sorry, as I was looking, I lost it. Oh, I'm so bummed out because it was good. Okay, hold on here. Okay, here it is. Yes. She's talking about learning the 4 steps here to tarot mastery. And this is under step 2. And she says, taking the rules and tools and applying them to everyday life. And I'm not going to go through this first computation. I just want to go through this here and read this. I thought this was very, very profound. And then I'll close. This step may be the toughest and most disheartening for many aspirants, since theories must be put to the test. It is the seemingly slow and laborious process of replacing absolute ways of thinking and being, the habituated perspective, with new unhabituated ways of approaching life. Quite a challenge in our age of space, technology, computers, and instant everything. However, when one can view situations from the greater perspective of how all things happen in divine time, angst is lessened. I'm going to read that last sentence again. However, when one can view situations from the greater perspective of how all things happen in divine time, angst is lessened. So there's this understanding and ask that the patterns of the way that we think, the patterns of the way that we process life, right? Those patterns that are habituated within us that we learned as a child, we cement into our brain framework, the way that our brain operates, sees life, responds to life, the way that it's trained, all of that becomes habituated. And if it's not brought to your attention or to my attention, then we're just in these cycles that continue. And what happens is other people, other circumstances in life occur between two people. And if they're not addressed, they just trigger. They just go off like this. So part of coming to maturity and part of coming to adulthood, She talks about becoming increasingly able to consciously direct and redirect the mind, body, and emotions rather than having them direct you. And that's kind of what I'm about and I help people with. And if that's something that you feel could assist you, it would be an honor to serve you. So just wanted to bring this book out this morning because it contains a lot of tools. If you work through the tarot and the 22 major arcana cards, which really are just major archetypes that show up in the world. And I would say they're keys, they're keys. And they open doors. If you know the right door to go to. We got this. Stay strong. Stay in the right mind frame, okay? And know that you have the power. You really do. It lies within you. Trust. Peace.